What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another knee-jerk video, not stream, unfortunately. So for anyone that wasn't watching live, I was trying to stream straight after the last match as normal. For some reason, the live chat just won't work for me. I won't go into too many details. Basically, on the back end, where I control everything, it's not showing. And when I go into the actual stream itself, where everyone else is watching, it shows, but I have to keep refreshing it to see new messages. And even then, it doesn't always work. And I just actually did a quick search on Twitter for other people complaining about the problem. And it seems to be happening on a few streams, although not everyone's. It's working fine on FPL Family. So I'm not really sure what happened. So what I'm going to do is record a quick video as if it was like a knee-jerk, because given that the game turnaround is quite quick, as in Monday, then Tuesday, then it's deadline, I'm not going to be doing a game week preview anyway. I'm going to do team selection on Monday and then probably captaincy and deadline on Tuesday. So in this one, I'm going to talk about my team just like I would on a normal stream, and I've put out a tweet asking for questions, and I'm going to go through it quickly like as if it was a... excuse me, like as if it was a live chat. And I'm going to probably drink and accidentally cough as well while I'm doing this. So apologies, because I know some people said just keep doing the show as is, but it's a live show. It's supposed to be with a chat. That's what it was built on. So it doesn't feel right just to sit there live and just chat, because once I've chatted about my team, that's probably about it. And you guys kind of guide the conversation. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to bring my team up. Click subscribe if you're new around here. So basically I got, 75 minus 4. Obviously the auto subs haven't been done yet, just for anyone that's confused. And obviously Salah's bonus points aren't in either. So Salah will be on 15. And Holding and So Far are both going to come in for Stones and Cancelo. So straight away, we were thinking Cancelo's a rotation risk. Potentially Stones is now. I think for the next game against Burnley away, they're going to be fine. Obviously, there is quite a few games in quick succession at the moment, so it's hard to completely say like exactly what's going on right now. As in like whether people have lost their place or anything like that. But obviously Cancelo and Stones missing out was huge. Lucky for me, I got Holding on. From a Man United perspective, not great that we didn't win that game. I thought we had a good few chances. So did Arsenal, to be fair. A draw was probably fair, right? So for me to have Wan-Bissaka and Holding 8 points each was pretty nice. And at first I was thinking, why did I bench David De Gea? And then Martinez goes and gets a 10-pointer. Very lucky, to be fair. He put in a few good saves, but at the same time, you know, I mean, one thing I'll say, right, because I know it would have come up in the chat, is the Danny Ings thing, right, where it looked... it basically looked level. It was just an arse being too big. The reason why it didn't get given. But at the end of the day, it was flagged offside anyway. So VAR was just seeing if it was onside. So I don't think it was as bad as everyone made out. But still, Villa probably a little bit lucky to have a clean sheet for sure. Because that wasn't even the biggest thing. Cash's handball, of course. So yeah, very lucky. Son blank. So anyone that watched the deadline stream, I had Salah captain originally. And I was kind of to and fro between Gundogan, Son and Salah. And in the end, I went for Son, knowing full well that West Ham's defence was quite good and Brighton's defence was quite good. The main difference between the two teams, I think, not that Brighton was necessarily massively better than West Ham, although you could say they were, just that Liverpool have got some players that can create chances, and Spurs were awful. Right, don't take anything away from Brighton. They played really well. They defended well. They didn't really give Spurs too much of a chance at all. But Spurs were awful. Massively missed Harry Kane. Gareth Bale is done. I don't really see what good he's going to do Spurs for the rest of the season. There's a few good turns early on, and then just nothing. Absolutely nothing. So that was pretty poor. And obviously a captain blank is not good. Fernandes blanked again. I'm sure there's going to be some questions about him. And Gundogan blanked as well. Bamford, I mean... There was a few people, depending on the circumstances of their question, who I said, okay, sell Bamford. But I kept saying people are looking for a reason to sell him. And I think if there's good reason, or if there's someone you really want instead, then maybe you do it. And in this case, I guess it was Calvert-Lewin. But Bamford has 17 returns this season. Obviously, it was 14 before this game. But he has 17. It's only 2 less. Was it 1 less? I think it's 1 less than Salah. Or 2 less than Salah now, something like that, maybe even 3. Anyway, he has a lot, right? Go and check it, I guess. He has a lot of returns, and his stats have been good all season. I know he blanked 3 times in a row, but I don't know. I think people were very quick to write Leeds off. And I think, by the way, expectations about Leeds are a bit high. Like, I saw an interview with Bamford afterwards, and I think it was, is it Laura Woods? I think she asked, people have said it's... I can't remember the exact quote, but it was something like people have mentioned how you've only taken 1 point off the top 6, and I just think they're a newly promoted team. What are people expecting from them? I guess it shows how good they are that people are expecting that. But ultimately, they are a championship side. So I know they've made a few signings, but it is what it is. He's on 116 points now. It's pretty decent. I think Everton at home, like Leicester was the hardest fixture of the next 3. Everton at home and Palace at home should be a bit easier. So yeah, I'm loving Bamford. I wouldn't reverse the transfer though. Calvert-Lewin against Leeds is pretty good. He's got Fulham in game week 24 and possibly a double game week. So if you made that move, you just own it, I guess. I did tell a lot of people that I would play Antonio ahead of Bamford though. That was completely wrong. Let me just mute while I clear my throat. I want to just keep going as if it was live, by the way. So I'm not going to edit stuff out because I'm not going to get this video up tonight otherwise. What else from the team? That's about it, really. Chris Wood's possibly injured, but he was going to be benched next week anyway. So this is my team for next week. I'll do team selection tomorrow, but I'm pretty much going to play David De Gea and Wan-Bissaka. So I'm going to play double defence against Southampton. I don't know how confident I am in that. Part of me thinks I should probably play Rob Holding against Wolves, because Wolves have just been so poor going forward, and Arsenal have actually been quite good defensively. So I might hedge my bets. I'm definitely going to play De Gea ahead of Martinez, though. I think that's the upside play because I've got Antonio, and obviously I'm hoping that he scores. And I don't think there's too much difference between Martinez and De Gea for this week. Although Martinez is great for bonus once he starts racking up the saves. Whereas David De Gea doesn't necessarily make as many saves. But this is pretty much what I'm going for. I'm going for Salah captain. That is not a knee-jerk. I tweeted yesterday. In fact, I literally tweeted to say, before Salah scores his hat-trick tomorrow, he only scored 2, I'm captaining him next week. There's not really too many other options. I mean, apart from Fernandes against Southampton. But Fernandes now hasn't scored for so long. Let me just look it up here. He hasn't scored since game week 17. That was a penalty. He's not scored from open play since game week 15. People are probably getting a bit worried about him. I think Southampton at home, Everton at home, West Brom away, Newcastle at home, it's just worth keeping. I just think money's not a problem right now anyway. So depending on who you want to bring in, there's probably no reason to take him out. So I'm keeping Fernandes for sure. I'll do my team selection tomorrow, but I'm probably not making any transfers. Unless Bamford's out and Wood's out, I might make a move for Wood to Calvert-Lewin, or Wood to Watkins potentially, and just bench Bamford. But I think he's going to be fine. I think it was just a dead leg, so he should be fine by Tuesday. I think that's when they next play. They play on Wednesday. So a little bit of time to recover. I don't think my team needs any transfers. I think I've got Son. I wouldn't have been bringing Son in this week anyway if I didn't own him. So if you're in the same position, I wouldn't go for him. Obviously, didn't look good without Kane. I reckon Vinicius will start the next game. I think he looked much better than Bale, which is a pretty low bar to get above. But I thought, like, he's hungry, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? That's the difference. Bale just doesn't look hungry to play, and maybe that's just a bit. A lazy thing to say because that's just what he did at Real Madrid, or that's what it felt like at times, or that's what was reported. But Vinicius came on and he just wanted to make things happen, and he's got something to prove, right? He is the understudy to Harry Kane. Harry Kane he does miss quite a few games to be fair, but when he's fit, he doesn't miss any. So Vinicius is going to want to play. So I think he comes in, maybe that helps. But against Chelsea, that's going to be a tough game. We should probably touch on Chelsea quickly. That they played 3 at the back again. No James or Chilwell. Alonso is back. Now, there are like only 2 or 3 days between games at the moment, so I wouldn't read too much into it. But if Alonso starts versus Spurs, that's quite promising. And once the games start going back to week, if Alonso was a starter, he'd be straight on my team. He's such a good wing-back for FPL. I know he doesn't defend that well. I know Chelsea fans don't rate him that highly. But when it comes to attack, he's so good. And look at his goal today. It was brilliant. And Reece James missed out again. Hudson-Odoi's doing well down that right side. So if you've got Chilwell or James, I'd be tempted to give them one more game, but it's against Spurs. Right? The problem is it's Newcastle and Sheffield United after that. So you want to keep him for that. But Hudson-Odoi's not really putting a foot wrong. And I saw a really good video earlier. I can't remember who it was by, but basically saying they're attacking with 5. So, you know, the 2 strikers or whatever they're playing, the 2 kind of 10s plus the striker and the 2 wing backs, and then defending with 5, which are the 3 centre backs. Plus the 2 in the middle, midfielders. So I don't know if he's going to put James back in if Hudson-Odoi is just that much better in attack. And it's working for them. They haven't conceded in both games. Burnley barely had a good chance at all in that game. Yes, it's Burnley, so you wouldn't expect them to have a huge amount anyway, but that was decent. So I'm not moving on Chelsea right now. I'm hoping I can roll a transfer, because in game week 23, my move would have been Son. and obviously I've already got him in. I still think, look, no matter how bad they do in the next game against Chelsea, it's West Brom. West Brom is so bad, I'm going to captain Son in that game. I don't care whether Kane's there or not. Hopefully Kane's back, though, because he's such a big miss tonight. And we don't have further news on that right now. So that's kind of my team of initial thoughts on the game. I'm just going to quickly see if anything else happened. Obviously, Everton lost to Newcastle. If you bought Calvert-Lewin in, it sucks. I did say on the stream that I thought the hype was a bit overblown. That's not to say I thought bringing in Calvert-Lewin was a bad move. Newcastle, a good fixture. Leeds, a good fixture. But the hype was, like, people were captaining him. Like, as if there was no other captain options. To be fair, most other players didn't do that well. Grealish got a few points. Salah got double digits, which was nice. But it did feel a bit overblown, the hype. But still, I did not expect them to lose 2-0. Obviously, Callum Wilson did really well. Wolves just really struggling for goals right now. West Brom and Fulham are just really bad. Villa probably didn't deserve to win, but Jack Grealish looked pretty good again. What else? Leeds obviously did really well against Leicester. They did have some other chances. So did Leicester as well. It was quite an open game. And I think that's the thing now. Calvert-Lewin, it's a good fixture for him against Leeds, but I think it's a good fixture for Bamford against Everton as well. So not too worried about that. And Liverpool, they kept on going. And in the end, they scored 2 pretty good goals with Salah. And obviously then after that, they just got the 3rd. But it did take them a while to break West Ham down. They probably will have similar struggles against Brighton. But Brighton at least want to play a bit. So I think they'll leave themselves open. So I think that's quite a good fixture for Liverpool, but maybe not quite as good as it looks on paper. So what I'm going to do is refresh the tweet that I put out and just go through your questions, right? As if we were doing a live stream. Right? I know it's not the same. I've had to do this one time before. It's kind of annoying, but it is what it is. I'll try and keep it to about 20 minutes, half an hour. So thoughts on Alonso look good against Burnley. I think with Chelsea you can give them another game. There's no massive benefit to bringing them in against Spurs anyway. So you can just wait and see. If he plays again, great. If not, there's probably too much rotation. Like if Chilwell plays the next game, is that just rotation? Does he trust Chilwell in the bigger games? Was Alonso in there for his height against Burnley maybe and his goal threat? It's hard to say, right? So I would probably ignore Chelsea for the most part. But after Spurs, they have pretty good fixtures right up until the double. The double, though, they will play, I think, Liverpool, Man United. So not the greatest double for Chelsea. Son out or in? I think if you've got him now, you keep him. I guess any of the questions like this, like who are you bringing in, right? And I don't mean that means you can't take Son out, but you have to ask yourself, is the player I'm bringing in better? Son has only scored like once now in, let me see. Only scored once in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Once in the last 7 games. So, we did. What's happening in a few cases is, all this time we've been saying players have been overperforming their expected goals, and at some point they'll slow down. Well, Fernandes, that's happening too, and it's happening to Son as well. It's not to say that he won't score again, of course, but I think with players like that, you just got to trust them. I think West Brom in Game Week 23, especially if Kane is back, is decent. So I wouldn't, if you've got him, I think there's every reason to keep. But again, it would depend who you're bringing in. I think this week, especially like Bamford and stuff, has shown that sometimes a little bit of patience is good. So yeah, the only reason I'd be taking Son out is if you wanted to get a captain this week that you thought was the best captain by a mile. Bench one next week, Gundogan or Antonio. It feels right. I'd probably bench Gundogan. I just think Antonio's going to get way more chances at Villa than he did against Liverpool. His expected goals always better. He's always getting into better places to score. Like Gundogan's had 2 shots over the last 2 games. Who knows? Does he get arrested the next game? I don't know. Probably not. But yeah, I'd probably play Antonio to me. Which 2 strikers to play next game? We can have Antonio, Bamford, and Calvert-Lewin. Why have people got these teams where they have to bench? I don't want to bench any of them. I wouldn't bench Antonio, and I probably. I don't know, Bamford at home. Leeds, do I think Leeds will create more chances than Everton? I think there's a chance. The reverse fixture was quite open. Everton should have scored. Like Leeds were lucky to get the clean sheet. But Leeds created loads as well. I'd probably bench Calvert-Lewin, but I don't know how much of that subconsciously is because he blanked this week. I definitely wouldn't bench Antonio or Bamford. I'd maybe try and find another way to play DCL. What to do with Chilwell and Bamford? I mean, is there any question on what to do with Bamford? You just keep him. He's so cheap. For me, my kind of strategy is don't spend too many transfers on defenders because at the end of the day, the ceilings are not that high on defenders. You know, yes, of course, you'll always get the one like Cancelo got 17 points, but usually it's 6, 7, 8 points. And like Holden and whoever can sometimes get that and you match them. Whereas with attackers, there's higher ceilings to kind of go for. But I don't think in cheap strikers there's any point. Like Bamford, Antonio, Calvert-Lewin and Watkins, whoever you've got, just keep for now. Like what I don't think there's much upside in changing them. Roll your transfers, get more info about the double game weeks, and then start making moves. I think with Chilwell, it's tough now because he came off early, he's missed a game. I think if you've got other defenders that can come in for him, like off the bench, I would just keep him one more game just to see what happens. But maybe Tuchel is experimenting at the moment, doesn't know his best side. So if you've not got a defender that can play instead, I'd maybe get rid of him, but I'd probably look to try and keep. Start Johnston over Martinez for Game Week 21. So West Brom are playing Sheffield United. I said this last week, it's a good time to play a West Brom keeper, and it wasn't. And obviously Martinez got West Ham. I think Martinez concedes. So again, there's a chance that Johnson will concede as well, but I think Martin's got more chance because he's up against West Ham. They're pretty good. So I would probably play Johnson if it was me. Wood to Calvert-Lewin for a -4, which I think would have to downgrade De Gea. Possibly just because Wood might be injured. But if Wood's not injured, he's got quite good fixtures coming up as well. Don't laugh. I'm not necessarily looking to keep him for this reason, but Brighton, Palace and West Brom is about as good as it gets. I guess Brighton is actually quite tough. But the other two are decent. And obviously getting rid of De Gea, not a problem if you've got two pricey enough keepers. But De Gea also has some pretty good fixtures coming up. I don't know if you can see them. Southampton, Everton, West Brom, Newcastle. So for me, eventually I will have to get rid of Martinez or De Gea, probably De Gea. But I just kind of want to keep him for those fixtures if I don't need the money. Obviously, you're a different situation. I think if I didn't have another good player to play instead, I'd maybe just do that hit. But I don't know. If you've not got someone else to play instead of Wood, then maybe. But hits are always tough to repay in one move or in 1 week, and then Calvert-Lewin does have Man United the week after, so it's not. I don't know. It's not necessarily the best move for me. Is it time to bring Dallas back in? I tweeted again. I always try and get my tweets out before it happens because otherwise it's just hindsight. But I said the thing about Dallas is he's always going to concede in most games, but there's always a chance of a double-digit haul or a goal or whatever because he had to have great goal for it, and he scored it today. It was a great finish, by the way, great run. But I'm not going to be bringing him back in. I've made my bed. I'm going to sleep in it for a bit. Should I transfer Dallas in for Luca Dean? Surely not. You got to keep Dean now. Again, you've got him. Just give him a bit of a run now. Would Salah be bench versus Brighton ahead of the City fixture? Potentially, right? So I think, let me just check. I think Salah's played like 3 or 4 90 minutes in a row now. So I'm just going to do this live. Let's pretend this is the live stream and I'm looking something up and I'm trying to fill some time. Let's have a look. View full stats. So he has played 90 minutes in the FA Cup on the 24th. He's played 90 minutes against West Ham and Spurs. 21st. Okay, so he got rested against Burnley. So he played 90 minutes on the 24th, the 28th, and the 31st. So if he plays the next 2 games, like he's definitely playing against Man City. I think the fact that Mane and Firmino got rested, I think there is possible chance that Salah gets rested. So it does make captaincy tough. If we get any inclination that's going to happen, I might captain Fernandes instead. Or maybe Grealish, I don't know. Probably Fernandes. But yeah, I think there is a chance. There is. I guess the question is, are we going to know? Probably not. And I think they are not playing until 8 o'clock on Wednesday. So we're probably not going to find out. So they play 8 o'clock on Wednesday. And they play again on the 7th, and then it's like 6 days till Leicester. So he's I don't know. I mean, Salah does play a lot, right? He's not one of those players that gets rested a lot, but it could happen. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. With the limited good striker options moving forward, who should we prioritise keeping transferring? I think there's still. I think Calvert-Lewin, Bamford, Antonio, Watkins are all good cheap strikers. If you've got any of those 3, keep them. I don't think they need to be moved around. I mean, even Wilson, right? Can we just say Callum Wilson is on 110 points. That's more than Calvert-Lewin, that's more than Watkins, that's more than Danny Ings. It's only 6 less than Bamford, 6 less than Vardy, and 33 less than Kane, because Kane's been ridiculous. So even he's got Crystal Palace at home, Southampton at home. You could just keep him. He's on penalties, plays 90 minutes. But I think ultimately, Watkins, Calvert-Lewin, Bamford, and Antonio are your 4 cheapies at a really good value. I think if you've got them, you just keep them. So yeah, I wouldn't be making too many. I wouldn't be making too many transfers in now. I think Watkins in particular, if you're going to transfer someone in, he's probably going to have a pretty good game week and always gets chances. So if you're going to transfer one in, he'd probably be the one. But yeah, I think if you've got the cheap ones, keep him. And then when Kane gets back, maybe think about getting him in. Grealish in for Smith Rowe. Now the yellows have been cleared and with cash in the bank, if it's that or Salah in for Sterling with the City. Well, I wouldn't be getting rid of City players probably because of the double game week's probably coming up. So Grealish, yeah, I like Grealish. I will say Grealish doesn't have the greatest fixtures. West Ham at home is tricky. Arsenal at home is tricky. Brighton away is quite tricky. Leicester at home is quite tricky. The next 4, I'm sure he can get points in them because Villa are also a good side. So those 4 teams are going to struggle as well. But doesn't have the best fixtures, but definitely a massive upgrade on Smith. Well, not maybe a massive upgrade, but he is an upgrade on Smith Rowe, I would say. So yeah, I like that move. With other premiums injured or blanking, is a Liverpool double up of Salah and Mane a good idea, even given their somewhat unfavourable fixtures? I mean, Mane's definitely going to start against Brighton, so he's not a bad play at all. They've got Sheffield United in game week 26. Everton at home is not bad. Leicester away. Their fixtures aren't great. What I would say is you're kind of asking the question because he's premium. I think you still got to weigh him up against cheaper options. Don't ignore the cheaper options just because you've got money in the bank. So if you think Mane's the best option, go for it. The fixtures aren't great, but he should start the next fixture, which right now is probably quite a big thing. I did a super chat. Yeah, for anyone that did super chats, I apologise. I think I got to most of them, but I just couldn't see them. Like, it's so frustrating. But the chat was broken for sure. Asking, should we consider moving out Chilwell after the next game against Spurs and avoid other Chelsea players because they're rotationary? So I've kind of already touched on this. Basically, I think you wait for Spurs. Rudiger looks like he might start every game, 4.5 million. I don't know how much goal threat he really offers, so you're just waiting for clean sheets. But for 4.5 million, it's not a bad buy at all. So he might be the only one. But until we see another game, I don't think we can really read too much into it. First couple of games, Tuchel's not been there that long. Games in quick succession, could just be some rotation. I think virtually every player from like most of the 11s they've played has been used, apart from Zuma and one other. So yeah, I would consider moving Chilwell out, but I'd want to see the next game first. Thoughts on Zaha for the upcoming game weeks? I think it's a good fixture player. I answered this on the deadline stream, I think, on Saturday. Newcastle, then Leeds, then Burnley, Brighton, Fulham. They look quite good on paper, and he's got West Brom in game week 28. No, I don't think he's really much of a double game week. Actually, if he's going to have a double game week, it's Fulham at home and then Man United at home. Not the worst, I guess. So yeah, I like him as a fixtures player. I just, and to be fair, he's scored really well this year. I do think he's a bit of a frustrating watch because it always feels like he can't be tackled. He doesn't think he can be tackled. But in terms of output this year, he's on 9 goals, 3 assists, 12 returns. It's not bad at all. And the fixtures are there. Like Leeds could be decent. Fulham, West Brom. I think it's an okay fixtures play if there's no one else you really want, right? A player like that could do well over those fixtures. Get rid of Son. I've already kind of touched on that. I wouldn't be doing that just yet. Rudiger does look like a starter, yes. Is it time to start rolling transfers? Ideally, by game week, before going into game week 24, you want to have a rolled transfer. So going into game week 23, you want to save a transfer so that you've got 2 for game week 24. Because at that point, you'll know about the double game weeks before the deadline comes in. So preferably you want 2 transfers then. So yes, I would try and roll transfers if you can. I wouldn't completely ignore points on offer now, but I would strongly think about how you manage your transfers. It's one of the reasons I went for Son last week and not Calvert-Lewin. Okay, it didn't work out for me, but it was because I knew it would save me a transfer in game week 23, basically. I'm skipping over any questions I've already talked about. Maddison or Barnes? I'm going to go through this quick because I've answered this a million times over the last week. Barnes' goal threat is just higher, as shown today. Maddison's more of an assister, as shown today. Sometimes that role will reverse, but Yeah, Barnes all day for me. Is it time to start moving City players? That's a good question, actually. I kind of have talked about it. I wouldn't panic just yet, right? We don't know if Laporte is now week in, week out going to start. We know he's a great defender as well, and we know that Diaz is one of the reasons they're doing so well. So whether Laporte plays or Stones is probably fine. But they're almost certainly going to start this next game, Cancelo and Stones. If they don't, then we start worrying. But for now, let's just see what happens. I think we get Game Week 22, 23 to see what happens. And then Game Week 24 is a double where we might have to make some changes, or possibly a double. So yeah, I wouldn't move anyone right now personally. Hudson-Odoi 5.7. He's a midfielder though, isn't he, playing as a wing back? It looks quite exciting, but I'd wait till after Spurs. If he starts again, the thing is he is getting really far forward. Don't get me wrong. I know it's a wing back, is like a defender position, but obviously it's to get advanced and get into the box. So for 5.7, he could be massive value. But again, we're not really looking for value players right now. But in his own right, he could be a good option. But I'd want to wait a couple more. I just want to wait for that Spurs game. I just don't see much upside in bringing in players for that game. But yeah, it's good to keep an eye on him for sure. Which Man City players are most at risk with Pep rotation? Every single one, apart from Gundogan, Ederson, and Diaz, and even Gundogan. Who knows? Thoughts on Brighton's defensive numbers? I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? They've had good defensive numbers all season. Been saying that for a while. But as always, like, the thing with stats is, I think most people that use stats know this. Just because a team has good numbers or bad numbers, it doesn't mean they always translate onto the pitch straight away. Right? It can take time. And the thing with FPL, I said this to someone on Twitter, we want large sample sizes, but you don't have that time in FPL, so you've got to make decisions based on whatever factors you can get. So Brighton is not an easy game that we think, but at the same time, they do sometimes find ways to concede goals, which helps us. So I wouldn't target them as an easy fixture like West Brom, but at the same time, I wouldn't say that's an elite defence like Man City at all. But yeah, the defensive numbers are good, and that probably showed tonight, to be honest. After Burnley, is it time to transfer a City defender out? I don't think so, not yet. I've just kind of talked about that. Who would you say are the three heavy hitters at the moment? Just for fixtures, I still want Bruno Fernandes. Arguably Sterling could be one with the fixtures coming up. And probably Salah still, although he could miss the next game. Top 5 players you need to have. There's no players you need to have. I don't own Martinez so far. Is it normal? It's normal, yeah. It's fine too. Some will be benched. I doubt it. What to do with Calvert-Lewin? Surely Calvert-Lewin you're keeping, right? I can't imagine. If you've just brought Calvert-Lewin in, or even if you haven't, you're not selling versus Leeds. That'd be crazy to do, I think. You have it. By the way, yeah, slow mode is not the issue with the streams. I saw a few people say that. I've had slow mode on for all season, basically. So that is not the issue. Just so you know. Okay, let me see. I think we're kind of coming to the. I think we're kind of coming to the questions that are just repeats. I'll just refresh the tweet one more time and go through it. I guess if anything, this is probably a bit more concise than the stream is, because on the streams I get a bit sidetracked. Chilwell, Salah, Sterling. Yeah, I think most of the questions now are kind of just repeat, so I'll leave it there. Again, apologies for not doing a stream. Like, I honestly kind of prefer doing streaming to nearly anything I do. Sometimes, so it's frustrating not to be able to do it. It's always good to get a quick reaction in after the game. I'm kind of happy with my week. No, I'm very happy with my week. I'm just annoyed about the captain blank. Like, Son hauling would have been huge, but to go up 300 places to 679 is decent. I'll be back tomorrow with team selection video when I figure out exactly what I'm doing. Hopefully, I'm just going to save a transfer, but I'll have a think. I know last week I kind of changed my mind a bit, and that happens, but this week I'm pretty set. And then I'll have a deadline stream on Tuesday, and I'll have captaincy at some point, either Monday night or Tuesday morning as well. So keep an eye out for all of that. Yeah, thanks for watching. I'm genuinely sorry that I couldn't do a stream. Like, it's super frustrating, but I'll try and get this video up tonight, straight after I finish recording it, so you can check it out. There might be a few glitches with how the video looks, but at least the speech should be fine. There'll be no lag or anything like that. And yeah, hopefully by the time I stream on the deadline stream, the chat on YouTube will be fixed. And I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Please do give it a like if you enjoyed it. Hit subscribe if you're new around here. And I'll catch you again soon.